The alarm rings at 6 in the morning. You open your eyes in the dark. Your expensive running shoes are sitting perfectly still in the corner, gathering a thick layer of dust. You reach out, press the snooze button, and pull the blanket over your head. In that exact fraction of a second, a heavy wave of disgust washes over your chest. You just broke a promise to yourself for the 100th time this year. You lie there in the quiet room and silently label yourself as a failure. You think you're lazy? You think you lack the moral discipline that successful people possess? Stop this brutal self-interrogation right now. Your character is not defective. The entire modern concept of willpower is a biological lie. The famous rule that it takes 21 days to build a habit is a completely fabricated myth from the 1960s. Today, we tear down the religion of discipline. We are going to expose a highly specific neuropsychological loophole in your dopamine system. We will show you the 48-hour rule to mechanically force your brain to build unbreakable habits without using a single drop of conscious effort. Welcome to the most profitable lie of the 21st century. The modern hustle culture has convinced you that success is purely a matter of sheer willpower. They sell you motivational speeches, aggressive morning routines, and expensive productivity planners. They tell you that if you want to change your life, you just need to want it badly enough. You watch a highly edited video of a billionaire waking up at 4 in the morning, taking an ice bath, and conquering the world. You feel a sudden, intense surge of energy in your chest. You swear that tomorrow will be different. You vow to crush your goals, but by Tuesday evening, that burning desire has completely evaporated, leaving you paralyzed on the couch with a bag of junk food. Society looks at this rapid decline and calls it a profound moral failure. They label you as weak, uncommitted, and deeply flawed. That is a brutal physiological manipulation. Motivation is not a personality trait. It is a highly unstable, extremely cheap neurochemical spike. From an evolutionary standpoint, a surge of motivation was designed to give our ancestors a temporary burst of energy to chase down a wounded animal or escape a sudden predator. It is a biological adrenaline and dopamine cocktail with a severely limited half-life. It was never designed to last for a month, let alone an entire year of consistent effort. Relying on motivation to build a permanent habit is mathematically equivalent to trying to fuel a heavy commercial airplane with a single matchstick. It will flare up brightly for exactly 3 seconds, and then it will die, leaving the massive machine completely motionless. The self-improvement industry intentionally ignores this biological reality because they need you to stay addicted to their content. If you realize that motivation is biologically guaranteed to crash, you would stop buying their books and attending their seminars. They weaponize your subsequent failure. They make you believe that because the chemical high faded, your character must be rotten. Do not accept this manufactured guilt. Stop measuring your human worth by your ability to sustain an unsustainable chemical spike. You're not a lazy individual. You are a perfectly functioning organism whose nervous system accurately metabolized a temporary burst of hunting fuel. You simply ran out of a highly volatile chemical, which is exactly what your body was programmed to do. You are completely biologically innocent. But realizing that willpower is a scam is only the first superficial layer of your vindication. To truly understand why you stay trapped in your old behaviors, we must abandon the abstract concepts of behavioral psychology entirely. We are diving much deeper, far beyond the realm of abstract thought. We must look at the exact physical moment your brain actively fights against your conscious desires. We are descending directly into the cold, dense, white matter of your neurological pathways. Forget motivational quotes. Forget the concept of personal discipline entirely. We are opening the physical hood of your skull to examine the raw biological wiring of your actions. Think about the exact moment you decide to skip a difficult workout and fall back onto the couch. You feel a sudden wave of deep guilt. You think your spirit is weak and your character is flawed. That is a profound anatomical misunderstanding. Let us perform a micro-autopsy on that precise second of surrender. Deep inside your brain, habits are not abstract psychological concepts or moral choices. They are tangible, physical cables made of interconnected neural tissue. A groundbreaking 2026 neuroplasticity study from the Johns Hopkins Kavli Neuroscience Discovery Institute revealed exactly how the human brain calculates physical effort. Every time you perform any action, electrical signals travel down a specific neural pathway. When you repeat an action for years, like eating junk food or scrolling mindlessly through your phone, your brain physically coats that specific pathway in a thick, fatty substance called myelin. This myelin sheath acts as a biological superhighway. It allows the electrical signal to travel at lightning speed while burning practically zero glucose. Your bad habits are heavily insulated, highly efficient mechanical circuits. Now, look at the new habit you're desperately trying to build. Waking up early to exercise is a completely unmyelinated pathway. It is the biological equivalent of trying to hack your way through a dense, overgrown jungle with a remarkably dull machete. It is slow, it is agonizing, and it requires a massive amount of metabolic energy to force the signal through the resistance. The human brain is a strict thermodynamic machine designed to prevent starvation at all costs. It absolutely despises friction. When you try to force a new healthy behavior, the brain calculates the extreme calorie cost of the unmyelinated path and immediately rejects it. It forcefully reroutes the electrical signal back onto the paved highway of your old, comfortable routines to save energy. You're not consciously choosing to be lazy. Your nervous system is aggressively stepping in to stop you from wasting precious metabolic fuel on a high-friction activity. This mechanical resistance is not a moral failure. It is a highly advanced evolutionary energy conservation protocol. Your body is forcefully cutting the power supply to the new habit to prevent a perceived starvation threat. You're mechanically, mathematically, and biochemically cleared of all charges of laziness. The heavy feeling of procrastination is just your white matter doing exactly what it was engineered to do. You are heavily defended against energy waste. But look closely at this extreme resistance. It makes perfect biological sense for an organic creature. So why does modern society punish you so severely for simply following the basic laws of physics? Why have we turned the painful, unnatural act of forcing unmyelinated pathways into the ultimate measure of a human being's worth? The architect of this relentless, grinding expectation does not live in your biology. To find the true origin of the hustle culture, we must leave the laboratory entirely. We must drag your timeline back through the brutal, unspoken history of human labor and the violent birth of the modern industrial economy. Leave the sterile environment of the neuroscience laboratory behind. Forget the microscopic pathways of your brain and the chemical calculations of your cellular grid. We are ripping your consciousness out of the modern era and dragging you back into the suffocating smog of the 18th century industrial revolution. Look at the brutal birth of the modern world. Before the invention of the mechanical clock and the steam engine, human beings did not operate on linear schedules. Our ancestors worked in intense, natural bursts of energy, dictated entirely by the rising and setting of the sun, the changing of the seasons, and the cyclical demands of the harvest. Rest was not a reward for productivity. Rest was a fundamental biological law woven into the fabric of human existence. When the winter came, the human nervous system was allowed to deeply recover. But the birth of the factory system changed the trajectory of our species forever. The wealthy architects of the industrial economy built massive machines that required constant, unending operation to generate profit. The fatal problem was that these machines had to be operated by organic, biological creatures who required rest to maximize their wealth. The factory owners had to fundamentally rewrite human nature. They had to mentally convert flesh and blood into iron and steel. They systematically weaponized morality to serve economic production. They invented the profound lie that relentless consistency is a virtue and that rest is a shameful sin called laziness. The concept of personal discipline was heavily manufactured by the industrial elite to force exhausted workers back onto the assembly line. They built schools that operated like factories to train children to sit still for 8 hours a day, ignoring their natural impulses simply to prepare them for a lifetime of mechanical labor. This is the dark, inherited blueprint of the modern hustle culture. Now, pull your mind back to your current reality. You feel guilty because you cannot force your body to maintain a punishing, artificial routine. You are judging your magnificent cyclical nervous system against the metric of a tireless, lifeless machine. The algorithms and the productivity gurus of the 21st century are merely the modern descendants of those early factory owners. They demand that your unmyelinated pathways operate with the seamless efficiency of a robotic arm. It is a profound, tragic biological mismatch. You are systematically punishing an organism for its inability to act like industrial equipment. You're not a broken human being lacking moral fortitude. You are the victim of an economic system that has spent 300 years trying to beat the humanity out of you. Your inability to stick to a rigid habit is not a failure of character. It is a fierce rebellion of your organic biology against centuries of economic exploitation. You carry the heavy, invisible chains of the assembly line every time you set an alarm. Society demands that you ignore your physiological limits and produce value on command. But your biology knows the truth. It will wildly resist any attempt to turn it into a machine. You are undeniably exonerated by the brutal history of human labor. But the history lesson is now over. Let the deafening roar of the factory machines and the dark echoes of the Industrial Revolution completely fade away. Silence the grand narratives of economic exploitation and the tragic timeline of productivity. Shut down the epic scale of societal engineering. The vast machinery of historical capitalism cannot soothe the quiet exhaustion you feel in your bones right now. Zoom all the way back into the quiet space where you're currently sitting. Feel the soft fabric of your clothes. Listen to the steady rhythm of your own slow breathing. In this tiny, isolated fraction of space and time, the massive ghost of the industrial age suddenly loses its tyrannical grip. Breathe deeply into the profound quiet of this exact second. Let the heavy, artificial armor of personal discipline simply fall to the floor. For years, you have treated your own body like a disobedient machine, whipping your mind with the heavy burden of willpower every time you tried to build a new habit. You have tied your entire self-worth to your ability to endure physiological pain. Tonight, that brutal, unnatural self-abuse officially ends. You are granted complete permission to resign from the cult of motivation. The flawless, highly disciplined adult that society expects you to be is nothing more than a profitable illusion. Your inability to force yourself out of bed or stick to a punishing diet is not a moral failure. It is the beautiful, unyielding intelligence of a biological system protecting its energy reserves. Accept this mechanical truth. Let go of the desperate need to fight your own nervous system. A perfectly optimized life driven by sheer force is a life devoid of human grace. But inside this deep surrender lies the ultimate weapon of your existence. This is the biological loophole the productivity industry refuses to teach you. By dismantling the illusion of willpower, by realizing that habits are just thick layers of myelin built by dopamine, you are paradoxically set free. You are no longer a tired laborer trying to push a massive boulder up a steep mountain. You are a silent, untouchable architect manipulating the physics of your own brain. The secret to unbreakable routines is not forcing yourself to suffer for 21 agonizing days. The secret is hijacking the synaptic consolidation window. Clinical science calls this the 48-hour rule. When you introduce a tiny, low-friction behavior, your brain opens a temporary, highly vulnerable window of neuroplasticity. If you manufacture an immediate spike of dopamine right after that action, and repeat the exact sequence within 48 hours before the window closes, your brain has absolutely no choice but to lay down a permanent sheet of myelin. You do not use effort. You simply trick the nervous system into believing the new action is biologically essential for survival. You engineer a synthetic reward, you lock it into the 48-hour consolidation cycle, and you step back. The biology will automatically build the neural highway for you. You do not have to conquer your inherent laziness. And you do not have to suffer through the friction, you only have to manipulate the timeline. The heavy chains of the hustle culture have been permanently unlocked. You are entirely free to let the chemical architecture assemble itself while your soul remains perfectly still and untouched. Yet, as the profound peace of this mechanical mastery settles into your mind, a heavy shadow of responsibility begins to emerge. The universe has granted you the exact blueprint to bypass your own biological resistance. Tomorrow morning, the alarm will inevitably ring again. The cold reality of an unmyelinated pathway will present itself in the dark. When that unavoidable moment arrives, standing at the fragile boundary between ancient biology and engineered habit, what will you choose to do? Will you fall back into the exhausting, useless trap of trying to use willpower? Or will you bear the quiet weight of your new awareness and silently trigger the chemical loop? You have successfully hijacked your biology. You now possess the mechanical blueprint to bypass willpower and build permanent habits. But do not let this tactical victory deceive your ego. Mastering your dopamine system is merely a mechanical trick. The terrifying truth is that the instrument you rely on the most to navigate the world, your own intellect, is secretly working against you. You believe that because you are highly educated and capable of complex logic, you are immune to biological traps. That is the most dangerous illusion of all. Recent cognitive research proves a devastating paradox. A high intelligence quotient does not protect you from making terrible decisions. Advanced intelligence actually amplifies your psychological blind spots, allowing your brain to construct highly sophisticated, deeply convincing rationalizations for incredibly stupid choices. You're standing at a dangerous intersection of pride and self-awareness. Will you allow your own intelligence to quietly destroy your life, or are you finally ready to confront the arrogance of your intellect? Leave a comment below declaring your path. Choose to remain comfortably blind or choose to shatter the mirror. Type your decision and seal your commitment to the uncomfortable truth. Your biological hardware is no longer the enemy. The new threat is the brilliant, manipulative software running in your prefrontal cortex. How exactly does high intelligence weaponize your own mind against you, and why do the smartest people consistently ruin their relationships and finances? We will expose this cognitive paradox and dismantle your intellectual ego in the next video.